Hey, Real Green Ninja here. The video you're about to watch is a supplement to the existing tutorials and help videos already available on the Real Green website. I do take a more casual approach because I'm presenting this information as I would if you called in, although I may have a little fun with it. This video is based upon the information I, as a Real Green technician, would provide using my experience on the help desk. This video was created on my own time to assist with areas of the software that may be waiting for an official help video or tutorial. At the beginning of the training video, I will have the version of the Service Assistant the video was made with. I will also try to be as accurate as possible, but be aware, as Service Assistant updates are released, things may change. I'm using the name Real Green Ninja as not to stand out from the other amazing technicians that I work with. I hope the information in this video helps you, so grab a cup of coffee, and I hope you learn something new. Hey, Real Green Ninja here. You're going to want a big cup of coffee for this one because we're going to be talking about services, programs, and specials. And this is going to be a long one because this is one of the most important parts of the software. So let's begin. Essentially, what services and programs are is the meat and potatoes. It's what you guys actually provide to your customers. I do have a couple of videos out there that deal with specific kinds of services, like how to do mowing jobs, which are repeating specials, or snow removal, which is also repeating special. I talk about like the different types of pricing, like work order pricing, how to set up a work order, and so on and so forth. I mean, I am going to say it a little bit generic here, but like I said, though, this is going to be a very important one because, again, this is the meat and potatoes. This is what your company does for your customers. So we're going to go to Data, Product Parameters, and then Services, Programs, and Specials. Once we go in there, you'll see the first tab is Program Job Type. Now, one of the things to protect you as a business from accidentally fertilizing your customer too many times or whatever is that you are limited to the number of the type of programs that are on the same customer screen of the same type. So for example, if I come over here and I have a customer that has like a lawn care program that's an estimate or active status, all right? You'll see here it has a type of an L. If I try adding another program or another program with the same type, it will actually kick up a message saying you are not allowed to do that. So if I were to come to this customer here and say add a program, and I'm trying to remember which one is, I think that one. There we go. So it's a different program from what they currently have. This is an FIN, that's an LC. If I go to, get my required fields here, and even if the other one's in 0 status, or whatever status, yellow status it is, when I go to save it, I got estimated by, save, you'll see you cannot create another program of this type when there already is an estimate or active program of the same type. So again, this is to protect you so you don't accidentally add two programs of the same type. Example, you might have like a gold care program, a lawn care program, a silver lawn care program, a platinum lawn care program, a diamond program, an economy program. You might have different kinds of lawn care programs or even different kinds of tree and shrub programs. And because of that, you don't want to add two of the same kind of program because you don't want to accidentally go out there around one twice. Okay, so again, let's say you have a silver program and a gold program for your lawn care. If you added both of those programs to the same customer for the same service year, you might accidentally go out there and do around one twice and possibly damage the lawn. So again, that's there to protect you. That being said, you can actually have many different types. So for your tree and shrub, you might actually create a new type called tree. Okay, so you can have your lawn care and tree and shrub. Maybe do some sort of organic program or pest program. Again, you can create new types and then set those programs up with that type. And again, as always, you just hit new. It's going to give you the next letter in the alphabet, or the next letter that's available. You can keep the one there, or you can just create a new one, or change it to whatever letter you want. So let's say we want to make it a letter J or something, and then you put in what the type of the program you want. And then also, you can tell it you want to do the credit hold by customer's balance, the service balance, or none. So again, this is to protect you from accidentally adding two programs of the same kind to the same person on the same service year. Now, I can go through and add two lawn care programs as long as they're in different service years. So they can have the lawn care program for, this is the LC one for this season, and then they can have the FIN one for next season. Again, if they are the same kind of type of services or whatever. All right, now the services tab, and then of course you get the French description and the Spanish description. Now the services tab, this is where we're going to actually set up the services you provide, which are going to be either the rounds in a program, special jobs, that includes work orders and repeating specials and stuff, or rounds in a program that you also can add as a special job. So you might do something a la carte. Maybe you might let your customer go through and add, round one to their service screen without having to have the whole program, because again, you're doing a la carte. So when you want to add a service, you're going to hit New. You're going to put in a service code. Now, it will prompt you if you accidentally put in the same service code you've already used. So if I were to do CA, and I were to try to save it, it'd say, sorry, you can't save it. So again, you put in some sort of service codes, at least something you guys understand. It can be letters, it can be numbers. You can do like R1 for round 1. You can do OR1 for organic round 1. Again, you can do whatever you want as long as you guys know what it means. ES, early spring, and maybe that's what you call your round 1. Like I said, as long as you guys know what the service code means, it doesn't matter what you choose. I mean, we can even do 1, 2, 3 if we wanted to. All right? For the description, you can, again, do whatever you want. But keep in mind, this description here is what's going to show up in your reports options, like when you're trying to select what services you want to do a report for, as well as it's what's going to show up on things like prepay letters. All right, so you don't, you want to put something too confusing. Again, you want to try to keep it something, obvious. And again, I mean, like I said, you can do like round 1, but like I said, keep in mind your customer might see round 1 on their prepay letter. Okay. Now, when you go and click off the description, you notice what's going to do. It's going to automatically populate the invoice description with the same thing. All right. Now, the invoice description is what they're going to see on the invoice. So you can actually go through and say early spring. All right. And again, this is what the description of the program or service is going to be, or the service or round is going to be on that invoice. You can then select a type. If it's going to be a round in a program, you're going to select what round, what type it is for that particular program. So again, if we're making a lawn care program, we're going to select lawn. If we're doing organic, we can select organic. This letter drop down right here, I asked when I first started working with Real Green, and I was told that it's not something that's used anymore. So as far as I'm aware, it's not important. Okay. Start date. If you are absolutely positively planning to schedule something no earlier than a certain date, you can put in a start date. And what it's going to do is going to throw this date into that schedule date field for that particular service. So if you do it for a program, it will throw that in there. Now you can say don't fill schedule date, and when you save it, you'll notice that we can't. Nothing's in there. So if I go through and I uncheck this and I do 01/01 2015 and then save, again you'll see there's the date that got saved. If I say don't fill it, you'll see it blanks it out. So again, if you don't want it to fill in there, you can check mark it there, or just leave it blank. If you do say we are not going to start this service before January or April 1st, 2015, put in April 1st, 2015. You can also indicate whether this round or service is available for any particular branches, because maybe you might have different branches that do different services in your database. So again, you can hit the select here, and it's going to ask you what branches this service is available for. If you have multiple branches, but the service can be in any branch or whatever, just hit all. Okay, which is what it says by default. Now, once you have that information in there, you can also add what products are going to be used. So when you do a product, what it's going to do is, depending on how you price things, it can pull the information from the customer size on their main customer screen, multiply it by the rate, and then put that amount into the production screen for you. So for example, let's say we're putting lime down. Again, I'm not a lawn care customer or lawn care technician or whatever. I'm just grabbing some stuff at random here. And you'll notice that once I select one of these two, the other one updates. So if I change this to mulch and then click off of it, you'll see again that changes the mulch. The rate is how much per unit of measurement you're going to use. So for example, if this is a lawn care round and it's measured by 1,000 square feet and I use 5 ounces for 1,000 square feet, I'll put in 5. You'll notice there's nothing in there about the 1,000 square feet, because this is not this part where we're going to tell it to pull the 1,000 square feet from. So again, you're going to say 5 per X size when you add it to the customer, and then when you go to post production, it will automatically throw it in there. And I will have a video at some point that will show that information, but right now I'm just focusing on the screen here. You can also put an application method if you have them in the system. So you'll see I have backpack sprayer and truck sprayer. The application methods can be added under product parameters, products, application method. So again, I'm filling in what shows up in the drop-down, and I do have another video that talks about the product screen here. All right. Once all this information is in there, you can add additional ones by hitting this little new button here. So maybe there's a couple different products you add down. Again, I'm just grabbing stuff at random. Maybe you have like a grub control or a fertilizer. You can put it in there. Again, it will update the other one, and then you go through and put in the rate. So again, let's say it's 3 pounds per 1,000 square feet. And maybe this one is a truck sprayer and this one's a back sprayer. Again, like I said, I got garbage data, but I hope you get the gist of it. All right. Now, over in this invoice message, this is going to be an invoice message that your customer is going to see. This is where you can put something like, today we applied a grub treatment, and then please do not water lawn for 24 hours. Horses, huh? Almost kind of look like horses. So again, you put something that you want your customer to see. Now, as with the description and the invoice description, when I click somewhere else, you'll see it's going to throw that same message in this abbreviated message field. The thing about the abbreviated message is this is when you're going to have 2 or 3 services on the same invoice. Because there's a limited amount of space, it will use the abbreviated message if you do what's called an association. Again, 2 or up to 3 services on the same invoice. Now, if this invoice message is really, really long, okay, what you'll want to do is come down here and make sure it doesn't get cut off. You'll also want to preview an invoice with an association to make sure that information doesn't get cut off. So you may have to tighten up this verbiage a little bit. Okay, so you might say instead of please do not water lawn, you might take the word please out there, a little bit more forceful. But again, we are limited to how much real estate this message will have, unlike a multi-service invoice. If it's just a single service, it has a lot of space. So, all right, production entry. This is what you're allowed to enter when you're posting production. Okay, so if I have pH unchecked here, that means I will not be able to enter the pH on the production screen when I go to post-production for this job. All right, again, this allows me to put that information in there. It doesn't hurt anything to have it check marked, but if you don't want your people messing around with things or changing information, uncheck this and they won't be able to make those changes. All right. If the service is taxable, you're going to apply whatever tax codes could apply to it here in this tax box. Now, there is a convenient button that says Add All, and it's going to throw all the possible tax codes onto the screen here for you. Keep in mind, though, the system was only going to charge tax if the tax is on the service here as well as on the customer screen under their tax box. So if you have a customer that only pays the Michigan tax, even though I have all 4 of these on here, if I only have the Michigan tax here, that's the only rate it's going to apply. All right. But again, you do have to keep or put the tax codes in there if you want the system to charge tax. As before, you can select one of those fields and it will update the other one. Now, if only part of it is taxable, you can even put the taxable percentage. What this is saying, this is not saying 100% sales tax or service tax. What this is saying is that 100% of the value of this job can have the tax applied to it. Now, the Michigan tax I put in there is 6%. So that means that it's saying that if it's a $100 service, it's 100% of the service is taxable, then they're going to be charged $6 sales tax. If you put in something like 50 in here, okay, then that means only 50% of the service is taxable. So again, if it's a $100 service, they would only be charged a $3 tax because the Michigan tax is 6%. So again, like I was saying, because I've had some calls where someone went in there and put like 6.75, and it's got some really weird number because essentially it charged 6.75% on 6.75% of the value. All right. So again, putting 100 in there, which again is the default amount, means that the whole service is taxable, not you're charging 100% sales tax. One important thing to know about the tax, though, if you set the service up as a work order, this grid will disappear because work orders are charged based upon line item pricing, where you're going through and saying, we're using 5 of those and 6 of these and 7 of those. And because of that, you actually add the taxes to the products themselves. I do have a video talking about how to add products, and I discuss how the taxing and stuff works. And I even show when in my crash course on work orders, I even show how that grid disappears. So again, if you don't see that grid, it means someone's probably checkmarked that it's a work order. All right. Technician note. Technician note means this is something that your technician is going to see. Now, you can do different styles of invoices and stuff. You can do things like a large note invoice, a regular invoice. Again, those invoices are going to have an area that the technician is going to keep, and it's going to have the notes in there. There also is a checkbox when you're printing invoices. And again, by default, normally it's turned on, where it says print driver's initials. And what that means is at the end of each of these tech notes, it's actually going to go through and have a line with the text there that says, driver initial, and then have a little line so they can put their initials on there, proving that they saw the note. All right, so it's a little bit of accountability there. So, for example, if I can actually go through and do a technician note. Okay. All right. And again, this is going to print on every single invoice of someone that has this service. All right. Down here under the general, this is where we can tell it's a round cycle, which means it's going to be round in a program. Also, this is where we can tell if it's a special job. If I have round cycle unchecked, you will not be able to add the service to a program. If I check mark round cycle and have special unchecked, that means you have to, the only way you'll be able to do the service is if it is a round in a program. All right. A special job round cycle means you can have it as part of a round in a program as well as added to the customer a la carte. You'll also notice when I check mark special, the work order checkbox appears. If I hit that work order checkbox, again, you're going to set it up as you normally would, but because it's also a round cycle, you'll see that's why the tax field disappears. So if I go through and do this, actually, let me clear all these out. Actually, let me see what happens if I do this. There we go. So again, you see if I hit the work order, I didn't even have to clear this out. If I hit work order, you'll see that it disappears because, again, your line item pricing. But we're not talking about work orders right now. We're talking about rounds and stuff like that. So again, I'm just going to make this a single round in a program. Now, if you also want to be able to do this as a service call, you can check mark service call here, and you'll notice again it pops up this grid because grid here because again you're adding it as like a one shot because you're doing follow up. Estimate services are for if you actually want to be able to pull this when you're pulling invoices. All right, so you're telling the system that this is an estimate service. We can add it to the customer's job screen and then pull it as on the invoice screen so we can route it along with the invoices as well. Some people don't mess with it because, again, it's one of those things you kind of have to have the thing set up. And all your ducks have to be in a row. You have to test to make sure you have it set up correctly because if you don't do it right, it can cause some problems down the road. Just to show you an example, I actually have a customer here that has a program that has an estimate service. And you'll see here there's actually I would create a service called Lawn Estimate, indicate it's an estimate service, and then I can tie it to that program, and I'll show you where you tie it to that program. And then, like I said, I could pull this with the rest of my invoices and post-production on it, and then, if the customer decides they want to take it, they can, turn around and then activate this job so that we can finish doing those rounds for them. All right. Ignore credit hold. That means you are going to pull this job whether or not that person is on credit hold. Be careful with this. This is usually done for things like mid-season evaluations or service calls or something like that. Again, because the customer is upset with the service or whatever, you might go through and create the service call, tell it to ignore credit hold so you can still do follow-up. You can pull it along with the rest of the work. But again, be careful because you don't want to have anything where you might go out and do something that costs money, for customers. If you use pesticides, you can indicate as pesticides are used by hitting that little check mark there, as well as this is where you can set the system up to tell the service assistant that this is going to be a pre-notification service. I do plan, if I haven't already, a crash course on how to set up pre-notification. I actually think I have a crash course on how to do that. And essentially it's just setting it up so you can contact the adjacent properties to the one you're about to service by sending them postcards a couple days ahead of time of actually pulling invoices for the work for the day. Okay. All right. So again, general tab here is again, got all these little checkboxes here. One checkbox can make a world of difference. Pricing. You'll see there's different ways of doing pricing here. You can do like price table. I'm going to select one here. I do actually have a video called The 5 Methods of Pricing or How Pricing Works in Service Assistant, and it talks about each single one, as well as when I do the work order, I talk about the estimated versus actual in the work order and so on and so forth. And then, of course, I talk about manual pricing, which involves a base price, man-hour price, and estimated minutes. Again, check out that 5 methods of pricing if you're interested. Accounts. You can then have this service actually point to different general ledger accounts. As before, it's something if you're not careful with, you can cause some serious damage. I had a customer one time go through and create a general ledger account called snow removal. They tied all their snow removal type stuff to that snow removal general ledger account. Unfortunately, someone made a mistake. And when they made the mistake, all of a sudden the person's tax report, when they pulled it, showed that they actually had collected $10,000 more in taxes than they actually did. What had happened is someone put the wrong general ledger account in the wrong spot, so every time they post production on one of the snow removal jobs, it was being counted as taxes collected. So that $10,000 was actually how much service they provided, but again, it was showing on the tax report, and it kind of freaked out. And then we did some research and found out why that was, and we were able to correct it for them. So, again, this is just a round cycle. I do plan to break these up into smaller videos. This is just the whole, service parameter screen right here. Again, I'll have like a crash course on how to set up a program, and I'll talk about the rounds and stuff like that. Make it shorter. Because like I said, this is going to be a long one because we're doing a lot of stuff. Once you have all this stuff in there, hit save, and now this is a service you can now add to customers. In this case, it has to be part of a program, though, but it's now something you can do. Okay. Now, one thing to be aware of, though, is we can put in what are called alternate messages, because you'll notice a lot of parts of the software, if you've watched some of the videos or play around with software, you have like a French description and Spanish description and stuff like that. But you'll notice there's nothing in here about French and Spanish description for services themselves. That's because it's under the alternate message. You click on that, you can indicate what company or branch this alternate message is for, and then you can go through and put in the English, French, and Spanish. These will override, if there's something in here, it will override what's on this here. Because we've had a couple situations where a customer calls up, and again, you guys are our customers, so that's when sometimes I'll say a customer calls up and talk about you guys, where they'll go through and they'll say, hey, I updated my invoice message, and it's not changing. All right, so pretty much we have to come in here, and it turns out someone else actually put something in just the English, but they didn't put it in French or Spanish. They just put something in English, and because of that, again, this overrode what was over here. If it's blank, then yeah, it's not override anything. But again, you can have different messages for different branches. You know, maybe one area that you service has one type of grass, another area that you service has a different type of grass, and because of that, you might have a different invoice message for each of those physical locations. So again, you can do stuff like that. So again, that's pretty cool. They thought ahead about that. All right, that's one round of the program. So I'm going to create another round here, but I'm going to do a kind of quick here like this. 1, 2, 4, next number of the thing, and then I'm going to call it round 2. I'm not going to get as much detail as far as putting the information in, but the only difference is I'm going to make this one available as a special, and then I'll come back and talk about how to do a special. So again, round cycle, special job, pricing. Now this tab here does kind of what I call our ghost settings sometimes, or ghost selections. I always recommend, when you click on this, go and actually select the price table and then select your lawn care again, because again, for some reason, it kind of sticks there a little bit. But like I was saying, it's just it's one of those things that happens. Now, if you do indicate something as a special estimate service, then when you're creating like a special job, you can say this is the estimate service up here, and then also initial service. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about programs, because those are more likely where they're going to be used. Although, if you have a repeating special like mowing, you may use an estimate service or initial service. Again, it'll make more sense when we talk about the programs. Okay, so like I was saying, it's pretty much everything else. Again, I'll talk about this yellow area when I talk about adding services or a special job. I just want to, again, have at least 2 rounds in the system so that way we can set up a program. Now, for a special job, again, we're going to create new and call this 125. I'm going to give a description, and maybe this is our spring aeration. Okay. Again, like I said, you can go ahead and give it any number you want or code you want, any description you want. I'm going to make this a special job because this is going to be a one-shot. This is not going to be part of a program. Could you put an aeration as part of a program? Yes, it's possible, but usually we recommend having special jobs like aerations, grub control, lime, stuff like that outside of the program, and then if the customer signs up for your deluxe program or whatever, you add the program that they have and then add those individual special jobs. Again, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying it's just sometimes it makes it kind of difficult when you're pulling work if you, again, don't have all those little ducks in a row and checkboxes checked and drop-downs selected and all that stuff. Again, invoice abbreviated minutes. Pretty much everything, behaves the same. Taxes, product usage, and all that stuff. Now, with this one, again, you might decide you're not going to be doing a spring aeration before, let's say March 31st. Okay, so March 30th. So 03, 2015. And again, what it's going to do is going to throw that date in there. If you do not have a start date in there, when you add a special job to a customer, it's going to throw in today's date. In this case, it would be 5/8/2015 because, well, that's what today is. And as I was saying, if you have something in here, it's going to put in whatever this date is. If you don't, it's going to put in whatever the current date is as the first schedule date. Of course, when you're pulling the work, you can set your date range and stuff. Again, I'm going to do another video on how to pull invoices and stuff like that later on. So once you get all that stuff in there, again, it's pretty much like a round except for this yellow area. All right. I am planning to do a crash course on non-service here. Essentially what it is you're not actually going to be tying the job to a particular season. Again, I will plan to do a crash course on that. I'm not going to go too much in there because there is a lot involved in that. But at some point I will do another video. Required information. This is what you have to have in order to save the special job to the customer. In this case, you'll see dates sold, salesperson, source, size, route, and so on and so forth. If the person cancels, you have to have the cancel date, cancel reason. If they reject the estimate, have to put the reject reason in there. If you want to know who estimated them, you'd have to put the estimated in there in order to save that job. Again, you can decide what you want to select. Now, because this is a spring aeration and it will use the customer's lawn size, I'm just going to say size is a required field because I want that size to be in there. All right. Over here, don't print invoices previous is not done. If you're doing what's called a repeating special, let me clarify something also as well. A program is a group of related services. Okay. Maybe your first visit, you're going to be doing a pre-emergent. Second visit, fertilization. Third visit, weed control. Fourth visit, another fertilization. Again, there's different services. You're doing something different in each visit, but they're related to each other, so you wrap them in the program. If you're going out there and doing the same thing over and over and over again, like lawn mowing, where you're going out there mowing the lawn and you're not changing chemicals or anything like that, then that's what we call a repeating special. And again, I do plan to have a crash course on how to set up, repeating specials, but I do already have the ones about, lawn mowing and snow removal, and you can pretty much watch those and get the gist of it. What this means here, if it is a repeating special, don't print the next line item that's on that repeating special if the last one hasn't been completed or skipped. So if it's not in an S status or a skip code, if it's like in a Y or dollar sign, it's not going to print the next one. Again, you got to be careful of that because I just talked to a customer who does lawn mowing that had that check mark, and unfortunately it was causing him little problems. Again, that's why I love the software. It's amazing what it can do, but sometimes one checkbox can make you want to bang your head against the table. All right, automatic renewal. What automatic renew means is that at the end of the year, you're going to run a utility called process renewals. This is where it's going to go through and it's going to say if the customer has the automatic renew check mark checked on their job, renew this job if I also check marked on the process renewal screen. Again, I do plan to have another video talking about how to process renewals and stuff. It's just right this time of year, a lot of people aren't doing it. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and I do plan to do a video for that. But again, automatic renewal means that you do plan to have the job carry over the next season. If it's not something that's automatically renewed, so for example, like let's say you're doing a service call or a work order job, something you don't plan to do every year, then you don't want to have that checked, because what's going to happen is whether or not this is checked determines whether or not it's checked when you add the job to a customer. So if I come into one of these special jobs here, like this correlation, you'll see here this auto renew check is check marked. That means if I go into the process renewal screen, which is right here, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here, and I select that core aeration as a service to be renewed, this person would get renewed because it's checkmarked on the process renewals as well as checkmarked here. Now, if you forget, that's okay. We have ways of overriding it. The only problem is if we override it, it's going to be all or nothing. Meaning that if you have a customer that did not want to be auto-renewed, but we have to force it to renew because the other 570 customers are auto-renew, then we're going to renew all 571 of the customers. So again, my trainings always tell people, make sure if you want to renew it from season to season, check mark it. If you don't check it. Although if you don't check it, we have ways of fixing it. All right, auto renew date. Now, with the non-service here, you use something called the auto-renew date. This is mostly for like pest control companies and stuff like that. And what this auto-renew date is, it's going to fill in the date here. And then when you do process renewals, you can say, I only want jobs that fall within the date range here that I have in this box. All right. So again, if I set auto renew for May 8th, 2015, and May 2016, when I do my monthly renewals, I'm going to say, okay, May 2016, May 1st to May 30th or 31st, whatever, and it was going to renew that person because again, it's a piece of filtering criteria of what's getting renewed. Like I mentioned before, though, that's mainly for pest control companies. All right, you don't really have to worry about it if you're doing fertilization or other lawn care or landscaping or whatever, because most of the time you're just going to do one batch of renewals, not once every month. This is important because sometimes you might have a pest program or pest service where it actually goes out 3 or 4 years, and because of that, you might have someone sign up in April of 2015, but they're not going to renew until April of 2018. So you might put the auto renew date of April 2018, which means that in 2018, in April, you're going to go through and say, okay, I want everything with this renew date, and renew those people. So again, like I said, it's more for pest control. I do plan to go more detail when I talk about non-service here and stuff like that, because that's where it really comes into play. All this is saying is going to put that date in there for you. Okay, confirmation letters. There are some states out there that are required to send customers confirmation letters where they actually have to get written permission to go out and continue service. So if we go back to this correlation here, you'll see this confirmation letter checkmark is checkbox, or checkbox is checkmarked. The reason why it's checkmarked here is because I have not yet sent them a confirmation letter. All right. So again, if we go to the correlation, you'll see that the send confirmation letter is checkmarked and the parameters, which means when I added it to the customer, it was checkmarked. When I generate that confirmation letter for that customer, for that service, it will uncheck itself. And that's how the system is able to keep track of who got generated a confirmation letter, so you don't end up sending the same customer, 5 different letters or whatever, even after they've confirmed. All right, available on the internet. This is a CAW setting. This is where we're going to say, hey, this service is available for the customer to sign up for on the internet. Again, I'm not as familiar with CAW because I'm not a CAW technician. I'm service assistant. But like I said, this is a setting to make it so it shows up. Locks sold and cancel dates, locks scheduled default. What the locks mean is that if you say lock sold and cancel date, once that sold date's in there and stuff, you can't change it. All right. Again, it's up to you guys if you want to do that. I usually recommend don't have it locked because you may need to make a change if someone makes a mistake, but just restrict who can and who can't change those sold dates and schedule dates and stuff like that. Again, it's up to you guys. All right. The option's there if you want to use it. Lock schedule default. This is scheduling parameters. Again, if you're doing what's called like a repeating special. All right. So for example, if I had my if I had like a lawn mowing or something, let's see here, mowing. You'll see here it's going to say 4 and then Monday. And again, I do plan to do a video on how the repeating schedule works specifically, although it is part of the lawn mowing crash course, or how to set up a mowing job crash course, as well as how to set up the snow removal crash course. But again, this is pretty much when you set up the parameters here, that gets copied over to this customer screen. This right here says they can't change it once you've added the job to the customer. Now, keep in mind though, if you don't have this locked, you can change it on the customer. So for example, if this person is not normally Monday and it's normally, want to do a Tuesday, even though it added as Monday, we can turn around and say, nope, it's actually supposed to be Tuesday. So again, you can change these settings on the fly. Again, if someone has not told the system to lock those. All right. Core versus additional. Now, I asked about this, and it turns out there was one of our large companies that has a lot of franchises that wanted to be able to distinguish between a core service and an additional service. For everyone else, it's pretty much going to be core service. All right. I've only seen one report that actually even had the option of whether core or additional. So again, if you're that company that uses it, you can. That's fine. I couldn't even tell you which report that was that I saw. Again, it's just one of those things I saw one time. I'm like, oh, well, that's where that came into play. All right. So again, for the most part, most people are just going to be core. Default billing type. You'll see regular invoice, installment, statement only, credit card, and ACH. The only two I really recommend doing, or three I recommend doing, is either blank or regular invoice or statement only. The reason why is because even though these are selectable, you don't want to make them defaults, because if, gosh forbid, you accidentally have the wrong billing type on the wrong customer and you forgot to change it, things might happen. All right. Again, regular invoice is where you're going to actually generate a regular invoice for them. At the time of service, you can give them a piece of paper saying, hey, this is what work we did. This is how much we owe you, or this is how much you owe us. Installment is used for installment plans. Again, you don't want to set an installment as a default, because if you forget to change it, what's going to happen is this customer is never going to be charged for the service if they do not have an installment plan that service or program is tied to. So again, I always recommend either blank, which is going to grab from the customer screen, regular invoice, or statement only. Because credit card, if this customer happens to be set up for auto bill for their fertilization, but you accidentally have the default being credit card, when you do their spring aeration, it would charge their credit card because they're set up for auto pay. ACH, same thing, except for that's automated clearinghouse, which is the electronic checks. All right, max. This is the max amount of times you plan to do the service per year. Spring aeration, you probably are only going to do it once. If you have to do it a second time for whatever reason, then you could either do it as a service call or just add the job, or set it up as a service call, or just add it again as a special job and go out there and do it again. If it's something like a mowing, again, you're going to say, well, what's the most amount of mowings that we're going to do in a year? And you might say, what the most amount we're going to do is 24. All right. Again, your customer base better than us. You know the lawns that you service better than us at Real Green. So as far as what number you should put in there, it's really up to you. I mean, I could say, well, how many mows you plan to do? 4 mows a month, 6 months, 24 mows. Okay, put in 24 mows. Again, you can change it on the customer screen itself. I can always go through and say, well, this person is not getting 24. This person is only getting 20. Again, you can always change it if need be. Type. Again, this is the type of the special job, so we're going to mark it as special job. If you have something that's a la carte, okay, where you're going to do as a special job and a lawn or a rounded program, you're going to put the round program type up here, and then you're going to set this to special job down here. Again, this is the way the software works. This is the way I was told to do it. So, all right. Units. Now, this is important because this is going to tell the system where to grab that size information from, because I'm doing pricing by the price charts. If you're doing manual pricing or man-hour pricing or work order pricing, size really doesn't come into play. So you can actually leave that blank. But because I want my correlation to go off my customer's 1,000 square feet, I'm going to choose 1,000 square feet. And then when I add this job to a customer, it's going to look at the main customer screen and use this size here for the pricing of the service. And again, I'll add this job once I get this so you can see kind of how that looks really quick. Down here, these are the parameters for the repeats. Again, if you're doing it as a repeating special. If you're doing 2 aerations a year, you might say, okay, well, we're just going to have the aeration job, 2 per year, and then we're going to have, let's say, 4 months would be 160 days between them. And what's going to happen is when you post production on the first one, it's going to schedule the next one 160 days later. All right. So again, you know, you can change these things on the fly for the individual customers once you've added to the customer screen. This is the default that's just going to fill in for you going forward. Okay. Now, again, it's one of those things. This is what I was told, so this is what I usually recommend. I know that they have like the you know, every X amount of weeks, every 2 months, month, year. I was told to keep it to the day setting. Again, I'm not sure why. I know I had one person I was talking to. They had it set to the year, and they were having a little problem with it. But again, I was told to keep it to the day setting. Now, again, this is for repeating. This is where it's going to say, like, when we post production, we're going to add this number of days, we're going to find the next available checkbox, and then we're going to schedule it, okay? If it's something like this spring aeration where it's not repeating, I can actually just have it set to none. Acceptable schedule days, meaning these are the days that it's available to be done. So if your company works Monday through Saturday, you might go through and check mark Monday through Saturday. Now, you can always put this job on one of the ones that are unchecked. It's just going to warn you saying, hey, this person's job is not normally available for a Sunday. Are you sure you want to do it? You can click yes or continue, and then it will schedule it for that person for that day. But like I said, it's going to pop up a message if it's not one of the ones that are check marked here. Again, once you have everything in here, save, and now we have that service as well. I just want to bump back here a little bit to round 2, special. Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Give me 1 second here and set that back to special job. There we go. Yeah, okay. That was going to bug me until I figured it out. If I ran into that later on in a different video or something. So, I've just added 2 rounds. I've just added a special job. One of those rounds also can be used as a special job. Service call pretty much is set up as a special, but you check mark it as service call. Work order pretty much is, again, you set up as a special job, but for the pricing, you're not going to use a price table. You're either going to probably use estimated time, materials, or actual. Again, I have a crash course on how to do work orders. You may want to check that out. Now, once we have all this information in there, we can do a program. All right. So again, I'm going to create a new program. I'm going to call it EXP, for example, program. An example program. There we go. Now, one thing you want to be careful of is you want to be careful of your codes. I actually had a customer, I was one of the people that called in, that they had a spring aeration that they normally did, but they also wanted to do a special one for a special promotion, and they wanted to call them out separately. Again, I never argue or question why someone wants to do something the way they want to do. I just point out things if I notice something a little off. And they had actually added the service as Aeration Spring Special and used that acronym. I said, you are aware, even though you don't see it on the customer portion, if your technician left the other portion, that Aeration Spring Special program code would appear on that technician portion, and the customer might not understand. So like I said, be careful of your program codes. I've had that come across before. Or actually, I had another one, special extra service, special extra, and then they use EX for extra. So just be careful. Because I know sometimes, especially for a long day, you're looking at all these checkbox drop-down stuff, and you think, okay, we're just going to use an abbreviation. Boom, there we go. We're good to go. And next thing you know, you got your customers calling up saying, what the heck is going on here? All right, now with a program, you're going to indicate the type here. All right, now again, the rounds that I added are created are type L, so I'm going to mark that as a type L. As I mentioned before, you can also set the program up as a non-service year. Again, I do plan to do a crash course on non-service year. I'm not going to go into too much detail today. You're going to give it an English description. You can also give a French and Spanish description. Now, you'll notice there isn't that alternate message, and the reason is because everything you add is actually already been set up under the Services tab. All right, units. This is where you're going to indicate the unit of measure for the program itself. Because if you remember, back when I added that round, and it's just the round, not the a la carte one, that yellow grid is there, so there's nothing in there to say what size to use, because again, that's going to be based off of the program. There we go. and it's going to use this 1,000 square feet. And again, you can actually have it priced off of different things. I do plan to do another video talking about property inventory items and how that works. Again, it's on my list of videos I want to make. All right. Now, again, as I mentioned before, it's going to make a little bit more sense when I talk about doing the estimate services and stuff like that, and the initial service and stuff when I talk about programs, because that's where they mostly apply to. Again, you can do it for repeating specials, but it gets a little wonky, a little confusing sometimes. But essentially, again, an estimate service is going to be a service that's going to be set up on the program that when you go out and go to pull work, you can actually pull that estimate service along with your regular round ones for that neighborhood, and you can estimate that customer service, and then you can turn around and post production on it, put in condition codes and stuff like that. If you're set up with AMA and the condition codes in there, boom, that person can get a letter or an email saying, hey, we noticed this about your lawn, we'd like to service you, and this is what we offer. All right, but like I was saying is, again, if you checkmark the estimate service checkmark, it will then become available here on this list. So again, I can set up as estimate service if I want. Initial service. Initial service is going to replace the first round or the first available round for the first time you go out there to do that program for a customer. All right. When you do your renewals, it's going to replace that initial service with the normal round one. Again, I do plan to do a crash course on how initial services work. I think actually I already did one, but like I said, check my playlist, and then my probably going to be under either crash courses or the how-to or why is this happening or fixing things. But again, I believe I actually did talk about initial services. But like I was saying, you're saying, you know what, this service is going to be the first time we go out to the property. Again, this was added more for pest control, because the first time they go out to do pest control, they have to get the lay of the land. They're walking around the person's house. It's going to take them longer to go through and figure out where they want to put the traps, where they want to put down the pesticides, as opposed to when on follow-up visit where they just go and check the traps, replace them if need be, and then, of course, they already know where to lay the pesticide stuff down. So again, initial service, more for pest control, but if you're not pest control, if you want to use it, I always recommend playing around with it. Have an example customer in the system, maybe yourself if you don't do service on your own property. I actually saw one I thought was really cool, so I've been recommending to my trainings. Someone actually put in test customer as that person's name, or do not and then service as the last name, simply because hopefully the technician that sees the invoice is going to read it and say, oh, this isn't actually a job I'm doing. Someone made a goof, forgot to cancel out something, or work actually got pulled. All right, default billing type. Again, just like I talked about in special jobs, you got regular invoice and statement only are the two I recommend, or blank. If you do blank, again, it's going to pull it from the customer screen. But like I said, you don't want to use like an installment or credit card or ACH or whatever. Available. Available means it is available. Oh, now let me backtrack here a little bit. Under services, again, under the general, you'll see there is an available checkbox. What available means is it's going to show up as something you can choose. So, for example, if you have it as a special job and it's available, it shows up when you go to add a special job. If you no longer offer that service at all, then you can uncheck that available checkbox. And it works the same way with the program. It means it's not going to be selectable. But that also means that when you run a report, so for example, if you run a sales report here and you make this something unavailable, it's not going to show up on this list anymore. So you probably don't want to make something unavailable until you've ran all the reports you're going to think you're going to run for the year. Again, like year-end reports or tax or production reports and stuff like that. Because again, once it's unavailable, it won't show up on the list. Now, if you do need to run a report after making something unavailable, you come in, check mark it available, run your report, come back here, uncheck the available checkbox, and you're back to where you were. Automatic renewal, auto-renew date, available on the internet, lock, sold, and cancel date, send confirmation letters. Don't print invoice if previous schedule not done. Again, that's pretty much everything like I talked about on the special job grid. All right. Now, this one does become important, especially for fertilization, because most of the time you don't want to go out and do round two, unless you've done round one. All right. You do got to be careful, though, because I have had some customers that they may have 3 services that they batch together, and they, for certain are going out round 1, and then the round 2 and 3 are actually tied to round 1, and you have to have this unchecked in order to pull round 2 and 3 unless you manually associate them. Again, it's one of those things that, if I haven't done the video on associations, I plan to do one. I'm over 50 videos already. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at my video count. I'm like, wow, I have no life. I really like my customer. Again, I do this because I'm kind of enjoying doing it, because I'm also learning new stuff all the time myself. As I talk around and ask people, I'm learning new things about the software. because I want to find out so I can do a video for you guys, so you learn something new about the software. But again, like I said, that's what this checkbox is for. Again, because you don't want to do round 3 until round 2 is done, or round 2 until round 1's done. Again, done being either completed, put into production, or skipped. And there is a mass skip service utility, which I do want to do a video on because it's really useful, especially when you're completely done with round 1. You say, we don't want to do round 1, we're completely done. You can run a unserviced list, run a report to find all the people that have been missed. Make sure that you don't plan to go out and do them, or you hadn't done them and someone just forgot to put it in. And then when you're done, you can run that skip service utility for round 1 of the 2015 or whatever season you're on, and it'll skip those out for you, so that way this checkbox won't drive you nuts. Select branches. Again, you can actually have different programs and different branches. You can check mark what branch is available. Most of the time, people have it all selected, so it's cross branch. Again, it's up to you guys. Core service, additional service, same thing as I talk about in the service screen. One customer, they wanted that option. Excuse me. They wanted that option available. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to redo a 44-minute video here. Sorry about that. But like I was saying is, again, one customer wanted it, and they put it in place, and I was told pretty much everyone else's core service. Required information, again, this is what you're required when you're adding the program to the customer in order to save it. And then, of course, we can actually set up a schedule if you want to use schedule dates for your program. Most people don't use schedule dates for things like fertilization or their tree and shrub. They do it days since last service. How long has it been since last time we went out? Been at least 30 days. Good, we're good to go. We can pull the next service. If you want to, though, you can set up the parameters. Again, it works the same way as a special job, where you can say, okay, when I build out the schedule and stuff, I want it to, when I put the first date in, I want the next service to be 7 days later, or 20 days later, or 30 days later, or whatever, and it's going to put in that schedule date. All right, so again, it's one of those things where for fertilization programs, you're probably not going to do it. Other things you may or may not. And of course, if you ever wonder, you can always give Real Green a call. Minimum rounds for CAW, prepaid minimum rounds for full program. Now, we do have a minimum rounds under the special job screen as well. Let me just jump to there. Boom, there we go. Minimum rounds. Again, this one is meant more for repeating specials, but minimum rounds for CAW prepaid. If you have CAW and you give your customers permission to, they can actually log in and take that prepaid letter that you sent them, use the CAW offer code, type that code in there, and they can actually sign up for the services and pay on the site. Now, what the minimum rounds for CAW prepaid means is if it's a 5-round program, they have to at least sign up for 4 of the rounds in order to get that prepay discount. If they sign up for less than 4, they're not going to get the prepay discount that you on your offer letter. Hopefully they're signing up for everything and it's a full program. Same here with minimum rounds for full program. This is how many rounds you need to have the customer signed up for in Service Assistant. Again, that part's not part of CAW. But again, it's you're saying, okay, they have to have at least 4 rounds for it to be considered a full program. And there are reports you can run against partial programs or full programs. If the customer does not have the full program, if they're not signed up for it, it will actually have parenthesis, partial parenthesis, right next to the program's name. All right? So again, it will let you know if the customer doesn't meet those minimum. Again, it's up to you to decide what that minimum threshold is. In this case, I'm just going to say 2 because I only have 2 rounds set up for this particular program I want to set up. Oh, actually, I can add other rounds too because I have multiple rounds that have the same type. Should I pause? Nah, we'll keep going. We're at almost an hour, or 45 minutes. Yay. Okay, this here is where you're going to add the rounds to that program. Okay, we're going to click that drop-down box, and we're going to say round 1. Oh, you know what? I just realized I think I put the first round as O. And again, this is something you'll come across. We'll go through and add something, and it's not going to quite work. So I'm going to save. And then it's like, on my videos, I'm, doing stuff. And again, I forgot I wanted to keep these O's. Like I said, I'm kind of fumble around a little bit simply because I'm doing these things on the fly. All right. I do try to be a little bit more organized when I do my training. Oh, that's right. That's not going to be part of that program. I do try to be a little bit more organized in my trainings. But also with my trainings, I'm not sitting there for 48 minutes talking. Well, I guess some of the people feel like I'm sitting there for 40 minutes talking, but I do try to ask questions and engage the customer. Like I'll say, all right, okay, that's how you do the first round. Let's go ahead and set up the rest of your rounds. All right, and then of course if I talk about how to sped it up, a la carte and all that stuff like that. So again, going back to the program screen, now that I actually set that to type O, I can now add the round 1 here. There we go. Might help if I had the program. There we go. Oh, yep, it's been a long week. It's Friday. It's 7:45. I'm doing one of my videos. It works full shift. I'm tired. Sorry about that. So again, you select one of the drop downs, and it will automatically fill in the other drop down for you. All right. I can push the down arrow. I can hit the little icon right there, and then now I can add that second round. Now you'll notice that aeration, that 125, isn't listed here because it's not set up as a round in the program, so therefore it's not selectable. As you saw earlier when I made a mistake, if you go to try to set something up that's not a type L, or I'm sorry, a type O, is going to kick up that message. Again, that's letting you know that that particular service is not available. There have been some situations where someone had a lawn care and a tree and shrub, and most of their customers either had one or the other, but suddenly they had a customer sign up for both, and they come to find out, oh, wait a minute, we have the wrong type, or they're both the same type, so we can't be able to add both of them. It's just a matter of going in here, removing the rounds, changing the type O, and I do plan to do a video on how to fix those things, but change it to type O or whatever type you want to change it to, go into the services, go into the rounds, change those rounds to match the same type, come back here, add the rounds, and you're good to go. All right. Again, I do have those two. I just hit undo. Let's try this again. Like I said, it's been a long day. All right. So again, let me add this here real quick. Boom. Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, maybe I should have taken a break. There we go. So again, I select one of those, and then again, save. Now I can have the 2 rounds of the program. Now, do means that we plan to do this service. We plan to go out there and do this service anytime we add this program to a customer. If it's an optional service, maybe you have your gold plan, which is a 5-round program, a silver plan, which is 5 rounds plus a 6th round, be it grub control or aeration. Again, I usually recommend having it as a separate special job, but again, you can make it part of the program. But if it's something that's optional that the customer says yay or nay, then you can uncheck that. And what's going to happen is when we add this program to a customer, the first round will be a Y for yes, we're going to do it. The other round will be an N for no, we're not going to do it, and never, ever, ever do it. When you do your renewals, when you copy what they have in the prior season or prior year into the next season or year, N's carry over. Okay, so N in 1 year will carry over to an N in another year for that customer. Everything else, $signs, Y's, skip codes, they're going to flip back to a Y because you're planning to do it. You did them last year, you're going to do them this year. Okay, dependent means it's dependent on the prior round. Now, if we do not have dependent checkmarked, it will not update the last service date. Okay, so keep that in mind too. Again, usually with fertilization, like round 2 is dependent on whether round 1 is done. Again, if we don't check mark it as being dependent, it's not going to update that last service date. So again, it might cause confusion and stuff down the road. Skip after. Skip after is saying that after this date, we are not going to do round 1. So if I come in here and I do, okay, let's see, March 15, 2015. After March 15, 2015, we are completely done with round 1. The chemicals have been, taken care of, and so on and so forth. If we add this program to a customer after this date, so if we add it, let's say today, okay, here May 8th, 5/8. Oh my gosh, it's already May. I can't believe that. What's going to happen is this service is going to become a K when you add it to the customer screen. All right. Now, like I mentioned a little earlier, skip codes like K will flip to Y to the next season. But what's nice about this is when you go through and add programs to the customer throughout the year, if you forget to skip those out, the system already skipped it for you because, again, it had those skip after dates. Now, you do got to be careful, though, too. Okay, because if you add the program to someone right at the tail end of round 1 and you said, we'll go ahead and do round 1 for this person, if there is a skip after date in there, what's going to happen is it's going to skip it, and then you go to pull round 1, you won't be able to pull it because you can't find it because it's been skipped. So again, it's up to you to decide if you want to use skipped after dates. Now, also when you do before you do your renewals, I always tend to be more on the paranoid side of things. I always recommend going and making sure that your skip after date is also updated. When I first started, when I very, very, very first started, and this is almost, actually over a year and a half ago, for some reason I think I came across a situation where the skip after date was still like the 3/15, 2015 or whatever, and of course they had like a 5 or 6 round program. And when they added it to a customer, it was skipped out the entire program for that customer. So again, I tend to be more on the paranoid side. I think they fixed that. I'm fairly certain they fixed that. I don't remember running into that this year when people were doing new renewals. But again, I always recommend, just to be on the safe side, go back in there and make sure that the skip after dates for the season that you're coming up on. That's a lot of talking. I think this is actually my longest video. We're at 53 minutes and 30 seconds. So as I was saying, okay, in a nutshell, Services are what you're going out there and doing. Okay, you're doing aerations, dethatching, edging, stuff like that. Lawn mowing, mulching. It's the stuff that you're doing. All right. If you have a group of services that you plan to bundle together, that's a program, the group of related services. All right. Again, you can have what's called a repeating special, like lawn mowing. And if we take a quick look at my lawn mowing job, I'll show you what it looks like. You'll see here I have up to 24 per year, max, every 4 days, and then I have a checkmark Sunday again. If you watch my crash course on lawn mowing, you'll understand how all that stuff works. Also, end on date. If you do put an end on date, it won't schedule past that date. Same with the program. If you put an end on date, it's not going to schedule past that date. So, like I was saying, I do plan to do a video on how the repeat itself works, even though it is part of my other 2 videos. Again, I'm glad you stuck through this entire video, or at least I hope you did. I do plan to do one specifically for doing special jobs, one specific for how to set up programs, but this is pretty much, I'm covering the entire service parameter screen, and I hope this helps. You guys have yourself a wonderful day.